And we are live. Welcome, everyone, to the Doctor of Stuff channel. I'm your host, Doctor of Stuff, but you can call me Doc. I always like to start out these videos with the disclaimer that nothing I discuss or my guests discuss here should be considered financial advice. It's just us telling our own personal stories on how we see things. I've got a very interesting guest here, right? And obviously, as you can see by the title, he's got a story to tell. And I want to dive into that. I want to ask some deep and probing questions about the thought process here. So, without further ado, I'd love to bring on Mr. Jordan Riz. How's it going, Jordan?
Woo! Hello, thanks, Doctor Stuff.
What's up,
Woo!
buddy? How you doing?
I'm super excited, man. It's for me. It's 8 a.m. in the morning here, so I'm still like waking up, but I'm pumped. I'm ready. I'm fresh, and yeah, I'm happy to talk about anything you want to talk about.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you coming on the channel. Look, I know that we have talked quite a bit, right? Like on around the Comeyverse, just in person, or not in person, but just like through Telegram or Twitter or anything like that, right? But I have never dived into your full story. Like I've heard snippets on some of these things, and I've always been like, okay, like I've got to know more about that, right? So I want to dig into this, you know. So without further ado, let's. The first thing I kind of want to understand, Jordan, is can you tell me a little bit of your backstory, right? Like growing up, kind of like what influenced you, and then what led you ultimately into the crypto space first and foremost, right? And then into OMI or VV or however that chronologically happened. Can you kind of just do a breakdown for us on that?
Yeah, so I used to mine Bitcoin back in the day, 2014, 2015. I mined some Bitcoin, and I used to just sell it at like I think it's $200 or $300 per Bitcoin, because yeah, it wasn't super hard to mine, and I saw the price going up here and there, but it was very iffy still. There was like I think the only exchange was Mount Gox, and so it was really difficult to buy and sell Bitcoin. I saw the future in it, but I didn't fully understand it, so I never kept any Bitcoin. And so that's how I got into crypto is through mining it. I had like computers set up. Um,
So how
yeah,
did you get into mining though? How
I,
did
I have all my friends are nerds. So like from
okay.
school, we would take over the networks at school. We would put all the video games all over the school network. Like in lunchtime, we'd get into the computer off room, whatever, and we'd have games in every single computer. So throughout my whole childhood, I was into computers. I would pick up parts on the side of the road and I'd build computers. Right. So it's very, very into. So I've always been like a computer builder, and I've always built systems, and so I built these ones with extra graphics cards so they could mine faster, and yeah, it did pretty well with mining. They were really noisy, man. Like they had super super loud fans, so it was like it was super super noisy, and yeah, it was just it was full on, and they got really hot. They got super hot, but
Yeah.
we overclocked them and did everything we could to tweak them to get the maximum amount of mining hash power out of them, and that led me into Bitcoin. And then 2017, I still had some Bitcoin left, and I sold it for $1,200, and that was probably like $5 worth. That turned into $1,200. So I saw in 2017 how much Bitcoin ran up, and then I started buying some crypto in 2018, sort of around close to the low, but not that low. I bought and it still dropped a bit more, but then I was still mucking around with it. I wasn't serious about it, and then in 2019, I think that's when I started buying Bitcoin at around $8,000, right before it bounced. It started to run up really fast, and yeah, and then I was watching BitBoy Crypto, and yeah, like he did a really good video on Akomi. And he had a warning and everything. Said, look, the price is pumping up. I don't know, maybe wait to buy it. So he did give a bit of a warning. I know most people just FOMO in, and I did
Yeah.
buy a little bit of OMI at 007, maybe
Okay.
a little bit 008, and then it kept dropping. I just kept buying more and more OMI and converting my Bitcoin over. So that's sort of my journey to find Ecomi. And then yeah, I downloaded VV as well, and I was there for like the Back to the Future drop as
Mm,
well.
okay.
And were you there on the Back to the Future drop?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was messy. That was messy. And for me, it was like 2 a.m. in the morning. So I was up all morning because you remember we had to wait 1 hour. They closed down like you couldn't buy for a while.
Oh
and
yeah.
then closed down for like 1 hour. Yeah, so I had to come back at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. to buy more. So I was up like all night on that drop, and I ended up with like 100 DeLoreans. I bought a ton of them.
So I've got some questions. You went through a lot of time in that little conversation. So you kept selling your Bitcoin, so you were never impacted then by the Mount Gox um, debacle. You
No,
didn't have
no,
your Bitcoin on there because you had sold it then, right? At
that's
that
right. I
point.
just sold it as I mined it, and I
Uh-huh.
sold it because I had to pay electricity, right? Which
Hmm. Okay.
it was a cost. It's like maybe $10 a day electricity for mining. So it was
Okay.
a fair bit. And so maybe 10%, 20% of the cost of the Bitcoin was just pure electricity.
So
But
how
yeah,
much how much when you were mining, how much Bitcoin were you actually getting like a day?
it was only like one Bitcoin every couple of days or every few days. It wasn't heaps, but
Yeah, yeah,
obviously now like that would be a ton. Like, yeah, it
yeah.
was.
Man, that is wild. With the DeLorean drop, I mean, I've kind of told this story, but it's pretty funny. I love Back to the Future. In fact, I just went to FanX, met up with Comics and Crypto there, and they had the cast from Back to the Future. I got there a little bit late, but like I took a picture in the DeLorean,
Oh
and like
wow.
paid the fee to do that. It's awesome, man. And in fact, I probably should like I gotta post that. Like so fun, so fun. But like the drop, I was super pumped for it, and they had done a release several months before the DeLorean drop. They had done like a teaser of a video of them driving the DeLorean, right, in AR.
I remember that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and like and people kept asking, they were like, "Hey, are you going to be like, is this going to be drivable?" And they were like, "No, it's not going to be drivable. It's going to be a different version and things." But then on the drop, I got some, and it was drivable.
Yeah, yeah.
And
The
so I
non
was like,
full size one. Yeah.
yeah, and what happened is the marketplace like had shut down, so people couldn't. But like I think it was still open to mint or something like that because I was like, "Yo, people don't know that this is drivable." And maybe this was like they didn't want to tell us it was going to be a surprise or something like that. Um, and so I bought a ton of the mini DeLoreans and things because like the ultra rare, the big, the 1-to-1 scale, right? Like that was pretty pricey, and I was still kind of questioning the whole digital space. But I was like, look, I think that this is such a big deal. I know there's like a lot of hype around it, so I bought a ton of those. Uh, you know, 1-to-6 ratio DeLoreans that were drivable. I showed Crypto Rain. I showed some of my brothers, and like so I bought a ton, and then they shut it off, and I was like Vivi's number one futter for like a month, man. I was
No
so
way.
pissed. I was so mad because I was like, oh, I'm gonna make all this money, and like I was like, I would not have bought all of these if that had not been available, if I couldn't drive it. But like it was someone had flipped the switch or something had happened, right? And I mean, I eventually got over it, and actually, I sold it during the bull run. I sold a lot of those when they announced kind of like the Back to the Future 2 with the floating or flying DeLorean, right? There was some hype around that and things, but anyways, funny time, man. And that's the thing.
You made profit. You made profit on those ones you sold.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like some of those were going for like $120, hundred
Yeah,
thirty
nice.
dollars. When they made that announcement, so I was like, I gotta recoup some costs here. So definitely sold quite a few of those, but I still hold several, well, a lot. And yeah, like I think like that's the thing is it's funny to talk to some of the people who were there early and all of the things that we went through, man. Like mistakes like that, like the drops, like with Nightwing, that like it just failed, But like you were like, hey, they closed the drop or the mint, and then they reopen it, and you just had to hope that you were there in time, because it's still like the fastest. Then there was like Clockgate, where people were finding out that like you
Oh
could set
man,
your
I was so
phone
late
ahead
to
of time,
Clockgate.
so the
Yeah, I
buy
was
now
late
button
to
was
Clockgate.
already there. Just a ton of fun stuff. So, anyways, that's nostalgic. But I want to get into a little bit more about the title here, right? Of and why I was like, I want Jordan on here because I want to know this. So why don't you tell me? Because I remember being on around the Comeyverse when you first said this. You said that you had remortgaged your house twice to buy more Omi, and I just remember thinking that is crazy. That's crazy. So tell me more. Tell me more about this story. What happened? Like what was going on with Omi and Vivi at that time? And And I also want to know, like, did you talk to your wife about this? Right? Does she even know that that ever? I mean, I'm sure she's got to have signed papers and things, right? So, like, I'd love to hear that whole thought process. So, walk us through that.
Yeah, so um, I guess we'll go back to like Omi price kept dropping, and I had all that Bitcoin I converted to Omi. So I think I was doing some renovations on the house anyway. So I was like, oh, well, I also got rug pulled. So this is actually all part of it. So I had the C swap card swap token,
Yeah.
and that one I ended up getting rug pulled on.
Mhm.
Basically what happened is they were going to launch this this exchange, which is called, it's supposed to be Card Swap Exchange, and Card Starter was the company that was running a whole bunch of ICOs on the Ethereum network that was actually for the Cardano network. So this is probably fairly confusing, but basically they merged with Sunday
Yes.
Swap team,
Uh huh.
and when they merged with Sunday Swap team, we were supposed to get some Sunday Swap tokens for the Sunday Swap exchange launch on Cardano, and Sunday Swap team, like 2 days before the launch, basically said, "No, we're not giving you any tokens." So
Yeah.
then, basically, my C swap was then worth nothing. So and at one point it hit $250,000. That's what it was worth. And so
Your
I was gonna like,
swap is worth 250,000,
yeah,
and
and
that was
I should have
zero.
cashed it out then. So that was my mistake.
Oh my
Because
god!
I was like, oh look, right now it's worth this much. I only put in like I put $100,000 in, I think. So it was,
In the
you
C
know,
swap?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I got goaded into it by my wife's cousin. My wife's
Okay.
cousin he got like 1 billion of these tokens. I was like, oh, I got to like at least get $500 million. So I put $100,000 in, and because I was trying to match him. And look,
Yeah.
I told him it was a risk as well, and he was like, oh,
Yeah.
let's just do it. And so yeah, I made a mistake there, but I could have cashed it outright and for pretty good profit. It was like
Yeah.
2.5x, and that was in a very short time period.
Yeah.
But because I lost that, I then didn't have the money to pay for this renovations on the house. So
Yeah.
that's when I did the remortgage, and majority of the money actually went to Omi, not the renovation, because the renovation was only like it was like $50,000 or something, and the rest I had over $100,000 left, so that all went to Omi. So
Hmm.
that was the second remortgage. The first remortgage was actually more for Bitcoin that then I converted to Omi. So
Okay.
that's a short. So really, I remortgaged once for Omi, but it was sort of like all the money that I remortgaged the first time was for Bitcoin, which then went to Omi pretty shortly
So
after that.
did you go to Bitcoin and then Bitcoin pumped and then you sold out of the Bitcoin and then bought the OMI?
That's yeah, almost exactly what happened. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But I didn't sell the peak of the Bitcoin, of course.
Yeah.
I caught the tail end, and yeah, I had to pay capital gains on that, and I also sold Tesla stock, and I had to pay capital gains on that. I made $120,000 in Tesla stock as well. So, I had some good runs, but yeah, that loss on Card Starter, Card Swap, that basically evened out close to my Tesla profit.
Yeah.
Um, so that's cashed in now. So now I'm minus $100,000 for capital gains,
Hmm.
which is good for next time when I
Next
cash out
go
some
round.
Omi. Yeah, I'll
Hmm.
cash out Omi or whatever. Because I did diversify. I know you want to talk about that a little bit later as well. And I think I was probably talking to you and Rain and the others. And I sold my Amazon business.
Hmm.
When I sold my Amazon business, I was like, well, I've got a whole bunch of free capital now. I think I should start diversifying a little bit, just in case Omi doesn't pump as fast as I want, or I can rotate around. And so many more options when you've got diversification.
So okay, I got several questions for you. Number one, how does your wife feel about all of this? About
Oh
the
yeah, so yeah, that's
E
right. You did ask
swap,
about that, but I
right?
didn't
And then the
mention it.
OMI and
Yeah, so
buying all this and using some of the funds to purchase OMI from the remodel. Talk to us
yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
So she's always really trusted me,
Okay.
money wise and financial wise, investment wise. So yeah, she's never really had a problem. The only one thing I wanted to do at one point was our house was worth a lot of money because the market was up. I want to sell our house so I have more money for investing. And she's like, no, we're not selling the house. So like, okay, fine. I'll figure something out, and I'll figure out a remortgage, right? And we keep the house, but we have more capital to play with. So it's not the
Okay.
best of both worlds. It was a compromise, I guess. So if I was on my own, I would have just sold the house for sure and put it into Bitcoin. And that's when Bitcoin was really cheap. I was
Mm.
like, I see this opportunity. Um, but yeah, so she's always been like, she's definitely somewhat a gatekeeper, but also fairly lenient with me using our funds and the houses. I pretty much use the house as the bank, right? Because we had a pretty small mortgage to start with,
Mm,
so I remortgaged multiple times. I had really really high income then. My
mm,
income's not as high now, because as I sold my Amazon business, but I have more capital. I have more things invested now. Like
yeah,
I think I've put in Australian dollars over $500,000 Australian into Omi. So that's just in US dollars. It's fluctuated over the years, but in
yeah.
US dollars, it's roughly 350,000, I think, around that. So
So here's another question that I think is really important for people to understand. If all of your crypto were to go to zero, would you still be able to keep the lights on? Would you still be able to keep the house?
at the moment, yeah, at the moment, but I don't think all crypto will go to zero. Like I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere. I don't think Ethereum's going anywhere or ADA. Um, but yeah, look, I'm pretty good business wise. I'm able to make a lot of money quickly if I need to, um, which I sort of do now. So I'm focusing a bit more on building up businesses again. But yeah, I've gone through a cycle of like building up all these businesses and then selling a lot of them off and stuff. So now I'm going to be building up again. And I've even yesterday and today I was looking at new products for selling on Amazon, looking at Shopify site and possibly some drop shipping. Drop shipping has got so much more advanced now. I know that's a completely different topic, so we may not want to cover that now. But there's like business wise, I've got PC repairs, I've got SEO, I've got websites, I got products I can sell, brands I can build, Shopify, Amazon. I've done eBay. There's so many different things of making money is almost unlimited online, right? Once you
Mm-hmm.
get a good skill set, and my skill set is on all anything to do with computers, pretty much, and websites. And
Okay.
yeah, I've built brands up and sold them. I've sold off 2 brands now. So
So this is like one of the biggest things. The reason I asked that question, right, is for me, and there are different risk tolerances and risk thresholds. Each individual, every single one of us has a different one, right? And then also there's some people who are relying on us, right? Like my family relies on my income. Not totally. My wife works as well, right? But at the same time, there are people depending on me. And so for me, my investment strategy has always been I'm only willing to put in money that if it was gone tomorrow, literally would not affect me in any way. All my crypto, all my crypto investments, everything like that I've put in, if it all went to zero, which again, I'm with you. I don't think it's all going to go to zero. I know that some of it's going to go to zero. That's just going to happen, right? And that's the volatility of the space. And it's crazy because sometimes there's projects that just have so much promise, and then something happens and it's wrecked, right? Like that whole Sunday swap thing. I remember listening to all of that and just being like, that is the craziest thing. And how many
oh
people
man,
that
it
hosed?
was it
It
was
was,
rough.
yeah, it's terrible, right? And
But
that's
what's crazy, my Omi was worth $1.2 million when this happened. So it was sort of a soft cushioning landing, I guess, in
yeah,
that way that I was like, well, I've still got $1.2 million of Omi, which I didn't sell at that price.
yeah.
So that's another mistake I made. So I've made a lot of mistakes on this journey so far. I'm still learning.
So here's my
Definitely.
question: how are you going to prevent you from making those same mistakes? Let's say the OMI goes up next bull run, right?
Yeah,
If
so
there if
I'll
there
be
is a bull
cashing
run,
out.
like that's
I've got
another
I've got a
distinction.
I've got a plan this time. So I didn't really have a plan at all last time. I just sort of let
Mm,
it go, and now I've got like a plan of where I'm going to take profits, a little bit incrementally as it goes up. Um, and yeah, I've got quite a bit of a plan now of how to sell. And the other reason I didn't sell as well is it was inside that 12-month period for a lot of the OMI. So I would have had to pay a lot more capital gains.
mm,
And we were also getting baited by the VV Ecomi team. They were like, dangling a carrot, like, oh, that was during the IMX integration.
mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, as soon as they do the IMX integration, we're going to get all these exchanges, right? We have
Yep.
5 to 6 exchanges or something. So I was like, Omi's going to moon. And it was already at what, 008, around 008
Yeah.
for like 6 months. It was going up and down around 008. And that's where I was at $1.2 million. So I had like 6 months to sell.
So what? Okay. So one of the things that I thought was really interesting, initially, right? You were basically all in OMI. Is that correct? At one point, it
Yeah,
was,
I had only Omi. Yeah, I had nothing else, just
and
Omi.
what caused you to diversify?
Um, Well, one thing is I put some of my super into crypto, which is like the 401k for
Okay.
you Americans. So it's I can't get OMI on my super, so I had to get other cryptos. So I got Bitcoin, Ethereum, ADA, just those three.
Hmm.
So that's the start of the diversification, and
But
yeah,
why
that's
did you
what.
diversify?
Well, I had to use to get crypto with my super. I had to, and then that led to me getting more because like my portfolio already has more than just OMI. I may as well, and yeah. I guess we started around the Comiverse as well. So I think I've done a few episodes with you guys, and you're like diversification, diversification. I was like, you know what? That's probably not a bad idea now. Plus, I already had so much OMI. Um, I think I was at 140 million OMI before I started
Hmm.
to stack other cryptos. And now, but I still bought more OMI. Like I didn't diversify as much as I could have. So
Yeah.
I'm now at 220 million OMI, and I haven't sold any of those. And so, yeah, like it's definitely good to have other projects. And so, yeah, I think it's good to have a safe portfolio as well as a risky portfolio. And the reason, if you want to dig into my backstory a bit more of why I'm so risk adverse, we can go into that.
Well, you are not risk adverse.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, tolerant, risk tolerant. That's the
Yeah,
word.
yeah.
So,
Talk to us about it. Yeah, like
yeah, yeah.
because
So
before you get into that though, right? Like that's the thing that I always talk about is diversification, and why I said that is because as I got more into crypto, it was funny because, and I should have never been comparing myself to Crypto Rain. I mean, let's just get that out there. But like he was in all of these different projects, right? And I was in like three at the time, and like different ones of his were popping off, right? And mine weren't. And I was getting so impatient. I'm like, this is crazy. Why is mine not doing anything? And you're in all these different projects and they're pumping. And I was like, one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that they don't create plans, right? And they allow their emotions to take over. And that's what I started to recognize in myself, that I was like, oh, I need to sell out of this token. I need to chase these green candles. I need to chase this, right? I need to catch something. I need that euphoria, right? I need that dopamine hit. And but I was luckily I kind of pulled back and I was like, you know what? I need to save myself. I need to save me from myself. And so I need to diversify, and I need to start doing some more research and saying, okay, what projects or what tokens make sense that could pump, and knowing that a lot of them probably won't ever, right? But like trying to learn the space, understanding tokenomics, understanding teams, understanding crypto narratives, like all of those things, right? As I started to kind of diversify, and then like in late 2021, like I did start having more tokens pump, right, and do some significant multiples, and others didn't, and others rugged, right? But it was fine because some of it was doing okay. And but now going into the bear market, I knew I didn't. Everyone had told, like, it was so funny. I was in these different groups and they're like, "God, just the bear market is crazy. You don't understand. You're just not going to understand until you experience it." And it was that has been so true to get in here, and it's just like this just seems like forever. It just keeps going down. It won't stop going down, and you're buying, right, and you're trying to dollar cost average, and then it goes down again and goes down again. And for me, I'm like, I'm loving it, right? Because I'm just like, this gives me more opportunity to grab the things that I think have a chance to do well in the next bull run. But I've seen so many people in this space that are like, diamond hands forever, right? And they've been gone for like 2 years.
yeah, have you seen the Dogecoin millionaire? What happened to him?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have you seen how far it went down though? I
Oh no,
think
I don't know how far he
so.
went down.
I think he hit $3 million right at one point. Was it 3 million?
Mm,
Something like that. It was multiple millions of dollars. And I think he got down to like $50,000 or less.
15,000.
50 is it? Yeah, 15,000 or 50,000. Either way, it's
Okay.
down a lot from 3 million.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and he kept holding his diamond hands. So that's that's too much diamond hands, I
So,
think.
but and that's the point, right? Is you can diamond hand yourself to zero, right? And everyone sits there and they talk about how they're proud about that, and it's like, no, actually, like I wish I was less diamond hands. I wish that I had sold Omi at the top, right? And now I'm prepping my mind and setting up thresholds of like, hey, when Omi hits this, I'm going to sell X percentage of my Omi, or like not just Omi, whatever crypto token I have, right? to take away the emotion from that. And I think that if you can learn to do that, because what happens, it is euphoric. I'm telling you right now, as you start seeing, I was checking my wallet every day, my crypto wallet, and I'm like, oh, it's up 5 grand a day. Oh, it's up another 10 grand a day, right? It's crazy. It's just
Yeah.
refresh. And again, it's that dopamine hit, right? And then you're like, I can't sell now because what if? Because what if, right?
You get greedy.
You get so greedy. And that's the point, is you need to, again, save you from yourself in that. And the way to do that is to take the emotion out and just say, before I get emotional, I'm going to think logically and say, at what point am I okay selling some of these and just taking profit and recognizing that I am not going to sell at the top. You're just not going to do that. There's only one person who sells at the top, right? And then it goes down from there. And I'm not going to be that guy. I know that. And if I can mentally prepare for that and just say, look, I know that potentially it could go up more and I might be able to make more money, but that's why I'm trying to load my bags now, so that I have substantial amounts of tokens to, as that pumps, I can sell 20% and then another 20% and then 50%, right? And get and just ride that wave up and be okay with the fact that maybe I could have made 5x more, but at the same time, like, I'm doing well. So I just had to go off on that tangent, but I want to circle back to what you were saying. How did you become so risk tolerant?
Yeah. So I we probably go back pretty far to when I was a little kid, and so I grew up very poor. So my mum and dad split when I was about 5 years old. I shouldn't say very poor. I was more like lower to middle class, I guess. Like, we always had a house. Well, it wasn't really a house. We usually had a flat or unit, but I moved around a lot. So my dad and mum split when I was like 5 years old. They got divorced, and from then I was like, we were, I was with my mum and my brother. So just my mum, my brother, and I. So three of us, and we moved from like unit to flat to unit to flat. We eventually had a house, but that was much later on. And I saw what it was like to grow up like with not a lot of money. But I also went through a lot of hardships. Like, I had a lot of health issues, and I was in the hospital all the time. I had asthma problems, so I had problems breathing, and so I was in the hospital all the time. And I would sometimes, like, for like a whole week by myself. So that was a real risk. I could have like never left the hospital. I could have just died there. And my mum had to look after my brother, so she couldn't be there for me all the time. She had to like go home to my brother. So I had to spend many nights by myself in the hospital, which is not a fun place to spend a lot of time. And so, because I guess I grew up relatively poor and all these health issues as well, the real risk is not losing some money. The real risk is like losing your health and losing your life. And I guess so for me, losing a bit of money, chance of losing some money with chance of making unlimited riches, like it far outweighs the so the risk tolerance for me is it's worth the risk, right? And I've also seen what I can do business wise, so I guess I'm very confident with that. So yeah, I think that's just growing up like that, and never wanting my family to experience that, right? I never want my family to experience what it was like to have to go from house to house to house to unit to unit, unit and all this stuff. And we always had food, but it wasn't, it was a lower class food a lot of the time, and yeah, junky food, and it was, yeah. I think that sort of paints the picture pretty well. And so, because I was used to things being difficult like that, yeah, I made a lot of effort into making money as I got older. So that's why I've learned all these different methods of making money. Like, it's very much ingrained in me. I could go and get a job at $100,000 a year pretty easy if I want to be an employee, if I had to, but I'm unlikely to do that. More than likely to keep running my businesses. There's so many different ways I can make money. Like, anyone can make money online now. There's like, I've learned another 10 new methods of making money. I just don't have the time and effort to put into all of them. And the thing is that people get shiny. It's called shiny toy syndrome, something like that, where you keep trying to find the new thing, and then and really, to make money online, you really need to commit to just one. Right? So I got really good at Amazon. And I got really good at SEO. SEO I've been doing for a lot longer. So SEO, search engine optimization, for anyone who doesn't know, that's to get people ranked on top of Google. I actually learned about that from my old 9-to-5 job, where I worked in an office. Actually, that's where I found out you can make money online. I worked a 9-to-5 job for about 4 years. like full time in an office. And my boss was awesome. It was casual dress. It was relaxed. You could go in late. It was very hard to leave that place. It was such an ideal job, and it was just really really fun. And they were making $12,000 a day from buying domains that people had let expire. So they bought domains that people had let expire, and those domains still had traffic going to them, and they would just run ads on those domains to make up little websites with ads, and they're making $12,000 a day, which is like I don't know,
Jeez,
over $3 million a year, I think it was.
man.
And so I saw that you can make a lot of money online. That was one of the
Yeah.
eye-opening ones, and that business. They actually pivoted so many times, and they made money from so many different ways, so many different methods. And and I sold a website. I was building a website on the side there when I was working, and I ended up selling my website called Real Web Worth. It was like a website that would plug in a whole bunch of data that my friend helped me program in, and it would tell you how much your website is worth. So you put in any URL, it will spit out a number. Like your website's worth $1,200, or your website's worth like $100 because there's not much on it. And it would work out how many index pages you have in Google, how much page rank you have, how much domain authority. It would look through all these different stats and work out. Yeah, it's like a little algorithm. So I built that, and I sold that for about, I think it was $7,000, and that was enough money for me to, because I was by myself, single at that time, and I had, that was enough for me to live. Actually, no, I think I was with my current wife now, but she was my then girlfriend. There's enough for me to live off for like several months. So I quit my day job. Man, my story goes, we could talk about my story all day.
No, I love that, and here's the thing, and the reason I was asking some of those questions is like every person is different, right? So your mindset on going all in on OMI at one point, right, and doing these remortgages is you're betting on yourself as well and saying, look, if this doesn't work out, I know how to make money and I can make more and I can put my mindset to that, right? I think the mistake that some people make is that they look, I mean, I remember during the hype of Vivi where people were like, oh, I put all of these things on the credit card, right? Like I just bought this from the drop and I put it on the credit card.
Poolside,
Yeah.
right?
Whether it's poolside, I mean, I won't name some of the individuals, right? But they were like, oh, I've got like 30 grand of credit card debt on Vivi stuff, right? And it's not just someone on Vivi; it's people purchasing crypto, like they're overextending themselves. And
so
and
I just stop you there. I would never do credit card debt as a way of investing. So mortgages, are very low. When I remortgaged, the rate was like 2%.
Yeah.
So to me at that time, that was free money, and it pretty
Yeah.
much was, right. If I'd cashed out that OMI, I would have no debt right now. I could have cashed out
Yeah.
my whole mortgage, and I
Yeah.
still could have bought the OMI that I have now if I
Yeah.
waited till it was low. I didn't know it was going to go that low. No one knew, right? But
Yeah.
but like I definitely understand credit card debt is the worst debt.
It is pernicious. It is devastating. Like it wrecks marriages, it wrecks families. And that's one of the things that like I wanted to really make sure that like we talk about is like people see those dollar signs and they just are like, oh, well, look, I'll just buy this crypto or I'll just do this and it'll keep going up. And then I'll just pay off my credit card. And some people can do that and some people can be successful and some people do it and it doesn't pan out, but they have the income to then pay that off, right? And you got to be able to pay that off that month. Like you start stacking that debt and you just become a nervous wreck because you're watching the crypto and you can't control it. And like I said, like it's so volatile. Right. It's tough. Like no one should be putting money going into debt, right, to purchase that. But to your point about mortgages, like what's your deposit rate that you're getting right now? Your APY.
APY.
So your bank account, your savings, right? When you put money or like a money market account, what interest is the bank paying you to park your money there now?
Oh, they don't pay me anything. Do you mean how much they charge me for rate? My rate?
No. What are you talking about? In America, like there's savings accounts and like checking.
Oh, they're very low in Australia right now. I think a term deposit might get you 3 or 4%.
Yeah, but okay, 3 or 4%. But then your mortgage was what? Was 2%, right?
Pardon?
So your mortgage was 2%, right?
It was 2%, but now it's like 6%.
Oh, is it a variable? Oh, because you
Yeah,
remortgaged
it
again?
it turns. Yeah. So in Australia, they don't do fixed for very long. So the
Oh,
America's quite different. You can do like fixed in America for like 25 years, 30 years, right?
yeah.
Here, the max you can do is like 5 years, and generally it's like 2 years. So that
Mm.
you can't get fixed for very long. If I could have fixed that 2% or even at 3%, I would have fixed it for like 25 years, right? It would have been
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, that's
But
I got a sub 3% mortgage that I'm never letting go of
still,
that.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
so that's awesome.
Um,
Free
and
money because
it
inflation's higher. So your money's being
is.
devalued every year. Never pay it off, man. Just pay it as you go.
Yeah,
Just
and well,
basically,
no, look, that's my thing. You say never paid off, but if crypto goes, just the knowledge of having a house and being like, I own that, I think that that's so important. And for me, I understand there's that cost benefit analysis, right? But like I could take some of that money, and it's going to depend. It's going to depend on how things go, right? If my assumptions are correct about this next bull run. But I just wanted to dive into that a little bit more so that people listening, right, like they understand where I'm coming from. I'm all about diversification. I can't go all in on one thing. Even as bullish as I am on Omi, and I think and Vivi, right, in this company, and I think that it is the chances that it succeeds long term for me are very very high. And because of that, and I see the team and they're working on how to make Omi um, more valuable, right? And to have that utility, create more utility for that, which people want to use it and then burn that while also building out that company. Long term, I'm extremely bullish on it. That being said, I still am diversifying. Even now, I'll put some into Omi, and then I'm going to put some. So like my goal, right, for Omi is 50 million Omi, and if I hit that, great. And if I don't, that's okay because I'm still diversifying into all these other things because we don't know what the narratives are going to be and when different tokens are going to pop, right? Because there's a chance that some of the other tokens that I'm in pop, and I'm able to roll some of those profits into Omi before Omi pops, right? So okay, I just had to get into that story. That is the main title there. It's so fascinating, Jordan, and it's been great to just talk to you about just on around the Economiverse and going talking about so many different topics. I want to dive into some additional topics. Right when I made that tweet about some of the things that we are going to talk, I wanted to talk about your backstory, how you found. You never said how you found Omi. How did you come across Omi?
oh, it was yeah, BitBoy Crypto's
Oh yeah,
YouTube video.
you're
Yeah,
right. It was BitBoy.
yeah,
That's so. But
yeah.
why did you go all in on Omi at that point? Like, why were you just like,
Um, so
this is
yeah,
it? This is where I'm throwing my
here's
money.
why. Yeah, it's actually hard to say because we didn't have Marvel yet, right? There's no Marvel, there's no Disney.
Yeah.
So, but I still went all in. I think I saw, you know what it was? My son Leo, he was playing with the VV app, and he
Mhm.
would spend like an hour, and I wouldn't be able to get my phone back. I'm like, wow, this is really something. If kids are like that into it, and he was playing, in augmented reality, he would make the DeLorean really big in our lounge room, and then he'd just like play in it, and he'd sit in it, and like he'd be looking with the phone in all different parts of the DeLorean, and just having a ball and making it drive around and all sorts of stuff. It actually probably didn't drive at the start then, but he still would. Because in augmented reality, you can like walk around and it looks like it's moving. So he would just do all sorts of different things with it, and yeah, he loved the app so much that I saw like this is the future for the kids. Like they're gonna love augmented reality, and so and we got other licenses too. We had Back to the Future. We had what did we have back then? We had a few other.
Ultraman. We had DC.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah, we
didn't
had Superman
Ultraman.
come. Yeah, Superman came a bit later on as
Yeah,
well. Yeah,
Superman
I
in
got
like
I got
July.
Superman at the drop. That was awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And Givenchy, like that was another big thing, right?
Yep,
You had this
yep,
big
that was
fashion
pretty big.
brand.
That's
Um,
actually one I sold for 100x. I got the gold card. I can't remember. There's Cleopatra one, I think it was.
oh well, that was later. That was in like 2022. The original
Okay,
Pride piece was like July of 21.
I think it came with the Pride. There was Pride and two cards that came together, wasn't it? Pretty
And
sure it was.
so Pride had you had the Givenchy Pride, and then you had the rewind arrow or something like that,
Oh no, yeah,
right?
no, maybe
And,
it was the second drop then. Yeah, it wasn't that
yeah.
much later. Maybe it's a few months later. But yeah, we definitely had some other big brands, but they
Yeah.
weren't. It was, but when we had Marvel and Disney, that's when I was like, "Whoa, I made the right decision."
Mm,
What's crazy is Omi had dropped so much, and card swap was worth so much. I could have actually swapped into an extra 100 million Omi at that time,
mm.
just when we had that announcement. And then the price obviously popped of Omi. But I was thinking about going all 100% into Omi then with even my card swap. And that card swap back then was free. I mined it. So that's the part I forgot to mention. So cards, over half of my card swap, I said it was worth like $250,000. It was over half of it I'd actually mined for free. So the other half I
Oh,
bought.
see, I didn't know that. I thought you had turned. Okay. Well, so okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I stuffed up there. I could have sold it out. I could have got 100 million OMI for free, basically. That's basically what I messed up with
So
there.
so here's the funny thing, right? And I want to touch on this because I've done this too, and I try to stop myself. Right? It's kind of like this. I could have. I could have
Yeah.
done this, right? This, and it's almost like this infinite regret. And look, you're talking about it, and you're just like, oh, like that. That's what could have happened, and that it's fun to do that, right? I had the chance to buy 3 Bored Ape. I literally was deciding between Bored Apes and Appymon eggs, and I was like, Appymon eggs is the way to go. And it was a terrible decision,
So
right?
I
About
think,
three, four, eight at
yeah, yeah.
mint price, right? Like,
So when we're talking about like that, we could have decided. I think it's because you like same thing. You're saying that your thoughts were you're really trying to decide between them, and the same thing with me with the OMI. I was literally looking at it on my phone, going, 100,000 C swap. OMI, I could buy another 100 million. I already had 120 million then, I think it was. So I was like, "Ooh, I'm like, I was really thinking about swapping, and I think I even got to Uniswap, and like I had the contract ready, but I didn't go ahead of it. So like that's why, because it wasn't like I was just think I could have done this later on.
so
Um,
this is a great question here, and everyone listening, please jump in and ask some questions because I think Jordan has a fascinating story to tell, right? And I'm the guy. I'm a risk management guy, and that's what like I have to hedge my risks. And actually, so before I get to Harris's question, I want to so season 3 OG, and I kind of showed this before, but if Bumper works out, right, Bumper could have saved us, all of us, right? Like if the way that Bumper works is basically you can hedge the downside risk while still potentially riding the upside. And Crypto Rain's done an interview. Jordan and Randy did an interview with the CEO of Bumper, and
yeah,
we
he's awesome.
both, right? Like because Rain and I had talked to you and Randy about Bumper and how bullish we were on it, and you guys started checking that out, and it will be interesting. I mean, check out Bumper. I think that is a project that when we're looking at potentially hedge funds and investment companies with these spot Bitcoin ETFs and things, being able to hedge that price, the price of Bitcoin, to avoid some of that downside volatility could be massive, to where I could truly see some of these large institutions using Bumper to do that. So really
You own
interesting.
Bump? You
Yeah,
have Bump?
I own Bump I've owned Bump for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been definitely.
It's my sixth biggest holding now. So
Okay.
it's like OMI, Bitcoin, ADA, Ethereum, Solana, and then Bump is number 6.
Okay. So check this out. This is a great question, Harris. When do you plan to stop, Jordan? Like,
Well, I'm out of money.
what's your
I'm out of
goal?
money now. I'm out of money now, so I'm stopped for now.
Well, but you're stopping now. But let's say you make some more money. Are you gonna like? Do you have a stopping point for OMI or for crypto in general, or like what are your thoughts on?
Oh yeah, so definitely
Yeah.
will diversify after I cash out a lot of it next run. But I'll be holding some OMI forever. I'll be holding some Bitcoin forever as well. Probably pretty much all the big ones. A lot of the smaller ones, I will cash out a lot of it out. But OMI, Bitcoin, ADA, and Ethereum, I'll probably hold a lot of, or some of at least, for a long time. But I will be doing sort of like I'll be going with the cycles. So I definitely want to cash out a lot towards the top, and then pay off mortgage, probably buy our next house. We'll stack some cash for next bear market. I definitely want to keep doing this, right? I believe there will be another drop off in 2025, 2026, and I want to stack cash so I can buy more. But don't forget to stack cash for your tax guys. Don't forget about the tax man. We got to make sure we pay the tax
Tax
man.
man, he's
He's
always
happy.
there with his handout for sure. But I think what Harris is trying to say, I think for this cycle, are
Yeah,
you
I'm
so
done this cycle. Yeah,
okay? You're not buying any more OMI.
nothing, no more crypto at all this cycle. But I'll be cashing a lot out. I
Okay.
have put in all up. I think in Australian dollars is $700 something thousand,
Uh,
730,000, something like that. And then in American dollars, I don't know, it's like $450,000,
yeah.
something like that.
Well, you're stacked, and I
I'm
hope
stacked.
with the diversification. Now, so here's the risk reward, right? For someone who goes all in, like someone like Randy, right, who has just put basically everything on Omi. If Omi does really well, he's gonna be richer than all of us. And if Omi doesn't do well, he's gonna be the poorhouse. I mean, I say that obviously he has a job, but like he can be wrecked on the crypto side of things. His portfolio is wrecked because it was all on one horse, right? And I can't handle that stress. you know,
Yeah.
I love the diversification, and there's just so many things that just happen in life, and especially in the crypto space, that I just can't ever bet on just a single horse there. But so okay, so what do we think of Bumper's $1,300? I'll let you go first. So it looks like Bumper only has $1,300 of volume in 24-hour volume.
Yeah,
What do
but
you think
Bumper's
about
still
that?
unknown. I think it's on almost no exchanges as well, right? It's got the OMI problem. So I actually do know they're getting some exchanges. I think the CEO was talking about it on Randy and I's stream. He was saying that they're starting to get some exchanges,
Yeah,
and but he was saying they sometimes have to pay for exchanges as well.
yeah,
But yeah,
like yeah, you definitely do. So I'm pulling up. I'm trying to remember this token, and it's just eluding me right
my
now.
bump is down now. My bump is actually my bump is probably my lowest crypto in terms of return. It's between Pepe and Bump at the moment for my lowest. I only hold a
Okay.
tiny bit of Pepe, but
Yeah.
I made a lot of money on Pepe. I made four and a half thousand on Pepe.
I had a buddy who, when Elon Musk tweeted about Miladies, or that was that tie into Miladies, and then there was that meme coin Miladies, and he aped into Miladies. He put in like $7,500, uh, and within like 5 minutes, it had dropped. That value of $7,500 had dropped to 3,500, and he was like, "I have faith in Elon." And like the Elon's poll. So then he goes to bed and he wakes up, and that 3,500 had then turned into like 70K overnight. And then like but anyways, long story short, he from his 7,500 he went in about and pulled out about 28 grand or 35 grand, something like that, right? Like these are these crazy stories that can happen with meme coins and things. But let me just I'll give you another example, Justin. There's this token called Gene, and Crypto Rain. So I used to work for Crypto Rain, and there were projects that would come and they would say, "Hey, we'd like to have you talk. Like, let's do a partnership or a sponsorship, right?" Um, and he would get emails all the time, and I would scan through them and I would vet them, right, and do the research on them, and I'd say, "Hey, I think that this is a token that we should at least bring up to the audience as something that has a hardworking team behind it, and it has a use case that's meaningful, right?" And so this Genomes DAO is what it was, and I bought into it, threw a couple K into it, and it kind of died. Like my 2 grand went to like $30, and the volume on certain days was like $3, right? And then the
Ooh.
volume jumped up, and it caught this narrative of decentralized science, and then the token just jumped significantly from there, right? And like, so let me pull this up real quick, just so you
Yeah,
guys can get
sometimes
an idea.
poop coins just run, and you gotta be ready to. The thing with them, you have to sort of be active with them and watching them all the time because sometimes the poop coin will just run, and you need to cash that out, or it's gonna dump again.
Yeah, yeah, it could. So hold on, I'm pulling this up here, and I'm just gonna share this screen in a second here. Um, and it's so sorry. I'm just grabbing this, and I'm gonna share the screen. All right. All right, so here we go. This is Genomes DAO. This is the token I was talking about. So we're gonna do like a 1 year. No, let's do max, right? So it launched at a price. I swear I paid about 2 cents for it, and I was excited. I'm like, this has a significant use case, right? And then just over time during the bear market, it just died, and I wrote it off. I was like, it's dead, right? And look at the volume. You talk about $82, $106, right,
Oh
on certain
no!
days, just like nothing, just nothing. And then it caught this wave, and then bam, it shot up, right? If you had bought here, and then sold here, right? Or even here, like look how big that's up, right? Triple
Yeah.
zero
This.
1 5, and now it's at 005. That's substantial X, even here, right? And so I don't get too concerned, Justin, necessarily about um, the volume, especially during a bear market when there's not a lot of people looking at tokens, and especially for a token that hasn't done a lot of marketing. But I look at the team and I look at the use case, right? And this felt like, man, like when this died, I was like, nothing is for certain, but it had a very strong use case, and I really feel like if they build this out, it's pretty powerful. And you should watch Crypto Rain's video on it. That when we interviewed the CEO of this, it's fascinating, and they're still building in this market, right? So I think that that's a great question. Um, but for me, my investment thesis, I don't buy anything that I'm looking to quick flip. And like there's some meme coins when there was that meme coin hype, sure, that like I was like, oh, I'll throw a couple $100 and we'll see what happens. And I was watching that, but like nothing serious. I'm not throwing serious money at it because um my thesis has always been medium to long term. And it's great because I don't stress when people are like, oh, did you check the price of OMI? I'm like, no, what's going on with it, right? And if it's and someone's like, hey, it's super low, then I'm like, all right, let me see like where my funds are, because maybe I'm looking at some other tokens and I'm like, maybe I need to look at OMI again, and maybe I need to be putting in some money into OMI. But I just my thesis is I do the research on the team. Is the project solving a problem? Who are the competitors in the space, right? What are the ties, and what are they making money? What's the prospects for them making money in the short to medium term? Those type of things, and then I say, okay, like that's what I'm doing, and I'm waiting for the next bull run. Um, so yeah, but that's a great question. So let's see.
And you're in 85 projects, right, Dr. Stuff? 80,
Yeah,
85?
85. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Sleeping Comics? How you doing, man? It's always good.
Woo!
Sleeping's everywhere. He's a rock star. Yeah, Sleeping Comics has a channel. If you don't know who he is, look him up on Twitter. Also on YouTube. Oh, and let's see. Stop January 1st for 2025, 20% tax. Moving MPVing just Bitcoin. MPVing? What is that? MPVing. Do you know what that means, Jordan?
What's that? I'm not really sure. Oh, is
Yeah,
that a moving average?
maybe.
Or is it,
Okay.
or is it?
Well, so I've got this here though, like
I think we misspelled it. I think it's supposed to be moving just Bitcoin.
moving just Bitcoin. Okay. Hey, look, I created this little banner.
Wow, that's so cool. How did you do that?
Smash,
You teach me. Teach
push.
me how to do it.
I'll teach you how to do that. Crush or gently caress the like, subscribe, and all notifications buttons.
Ooh,
And
you need to do that
also,
around
I
the
mean,
camera.
FYI, Jordan has his own channel too, right? And that's where I'm typically on Monday nights. He does Around the Akomi verse. And it's a lot of fun. He gets a lot of different guests on there. We talk about the most current news with Omi and Vivi. So check that out. Let's see. Uh, all right, so just going through some of these comments here. Bumper looks dead, but it's brand new, easy to use, and it works. Over time, Bumper will skyrocket. It could go to zero, and that's the thing that like I tell everyone. Anytime someone's like, "Hey, I know you're really into crypto. What token should I get?" The first question, the first question I ask is, "How much time are you willing to invest in researching and understanding crypto?" And the large majority are like zero.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, the next question is, are you willing for whatever you put in to go to zero? And if they say yes, then I'm like, okay, well, I personally, what I do for my lower risk things is like I'm dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin for me. That's what I'm doing. And I just put it that way, right? I'm like, I'm not going to tell
Are
you
you
what
a,
to do.
are you a whole coiner?
No, I'm not a whole coiner. No. I'm slowly like I'm more into the alts. I really am more into the alts because that's where I think the greater potential for return is. It's a lot riskier, but like you, I do have a higher risk uh, tolerance threshold, but like within reason for me. But so yes, I'm still doing that. And actually, so I have like a 529 plan, which is kind of like a college savings plan here in America for your kids, right? So like I'm putting into that, but then on top of that, I'm buying Bitcoin, ETH, and Cardano as also some more of like a 529 plan, a crypto 529 plan for my kiddos, right? For
But
the long term.
don't you see how terrible the financial system is overall, and that any of those long term plans are pretty much, to me, wasted money? That if you invested in crypto, you can multiply it so much faster than they would ever go up, and then you would be able to buy, have more money for them later on. That's how I look at it. If that makes sense.
Yes, but look, I know as messed up as the financial system is, and look, I mean, if we go to hyperinflation, we're all wrecked anyways.
That's
Like I
true.
don't know what
Yeah.
to say, right? So,
Unless,
so
well,
for me,
Bitcoin might be a good hedge against it.
yeah. So I have
The
Bitcoin,
OMI.
like I have some of these cryptos, but like at the same time, I'm like I'm still playing within the financial system. I still am doing my 401k and putting a lot into my 401k and then into these 529 plans, and then I'm also doing crypto, and that's my diversification, right? So I'm not only diversifying within crypto and the different tokens within crypto, but then also in the traditional finance world, doing some of that too, owning stocks, like having a 401k, mutual funds, those type of things. So while I agree that yes, theoretically, crypto will probably do greater returns than, especially with inflation and especially with the government just printing money. But like
Yeah.
at the same time, that's a hedge that I will constantly do. Just like bumper is a hedge, and I'm thinking that's a strong project or a strong use case. This is a hedge in case crypto doesn't work out. Bump has low circulating supply. If it pumps, current investors will be laughing to the bank. Yeah, it's like that's the thing, right? Just like I showed you guys with that gene token, like it was basically everyone thought it was dead. Like there we go. On one day there was $9.43, but they bought at 0001. How many tokens did they buy? Did they get for that $9? And then what could they have sold it for at 1.5 cents? Like that's crazy, right? So like
What's that? Is that 100x? Was it
it's
more?
100x. So $9, right? So they turn $9 into 900 potentially. And that's the point is you try to find the tokens, at least okay, I try to find the tokens that have a strong use case that people aren't paying attention to or they think it's dead. So it was so funny. It's still so funny to me when I sit there and I see people tweeting out that Vivi is dead. He's dead, and that Omi is dead. I'm just like, oh man, just keep saying that so I can buy
Rain in
this
the
token
house.
at.
Woo!
Is Rain here?
Yeah.
Oh man, I got to go through that. Yeah, yeah. Omi's so risky. I can't believe anyone would buy it. Yeah, like it just makes me laugh. I mean, and it does show a lack of sophistication, in my opinion, to say okay, if it's dead, why is it dead? Make an argument. I am always open to the possibility that I'm wrong. I have to. I have to be humble in this space to say, here's why I think I'm right. But if someone can present evidence to me where I'm like, man, that makes a lot of sense. That's alarming. I'm going to pivot, right? Like so. But when you have a company that's making money every single week, right? And then and I can't say hand over fist. I know that they're making money, but I don't know their profit loss statement. Like there's a lot of the financials I would love to dig into if I could ever get my hands on a financial statement, right? But they are making money and they're growing and they're hiring and they're making more and more partnerships, right? And so here, let's go through some of these. I want to go through some of these comments real quick, make sure we're answering any questions. I think that Rain has done like a bump how-to video. And if not, like Rain, you should make a video, or I can talk to him about that. Maybe we'll make one, or I'll make one. We'll figure that out. Up to 100K bump, more than Riz. Does he have
I
more?
replied there. I got 75,000.
Okay, so he's got a little bit more than you. FUD is funny. It is. It can be important, and I, in general, unless they are just toxic individuals who are attacking individuals, right, and making fun of individuals as opposed to attacking someone's argument, there's no need to waste my time or to get those energy vampires, and I just block them. Block the people who just vicious, and it's so funny because they're just like, oh, you just don't like the truth, and I'm like, no, you're attacking people. You sit there under the guise of like you're using truth, and it's like, no, you're just an internet bully, keyboard warrior, and you're irrelevant, and I don't need you. I don't need you in my life. No one needs you in their lives with that. But
What's
sometimes
what
FUD can be good.
What's crazy, Doctor Stuff, is I haven't seen any FUD in Twitter for Omi or Vivi in like 2 months. I blocked a lot of the fudsters, but I've had 2 months of like clear, like just everyone's bullish on VB and Omi. So I'm
Um,
lucky.
I don't know, and one who you're talking to about that. But Jordan says he's done adding coins for now. I right now, like I'm good, but if there's another token, like I am real serious about gaming tokens. I think that gaming tokens, like that gaming is going to be a
Do you have Mirror?
massive narrative. What's that?
Do you have Mirror?
Yeah, I've got a
Miria?
Myria node, so like I'm mining Myria tokens
Cool.
every day. And then like there's some other projects that haven't released yet that I did pre-sale investing in, several of them that I'm really excited about. So we'll see what's going on there. Look, and Harris, here's the thing that I used to have to try to compare myself to Crypto Rain, right? We're all on different levels, and then people look and they try to compare themselves to Dr. Profit, right? Everyone is at their different stages in life and everything, and you just do what you can and don't go above your means to do it, right? I think that there is still time. um so that's just me, but like don't feel bad because
Oh yeah, so
like
I should preference when I say I've stacked all $730,000 of crypto, probably like 200,000 or $300,000 of that I actually just saved up from having a high income, right? So I didn't. Not all of it was from remortgaging. So just people need to be cautious.
this is this is massive here. Once Bitcoin ETF approves, that will be part of my 401k portfolio. It will be part of my 401k portfolio as well. And that's I made a video. If you guys haven't watched this video, I made a video where I talk about some of the catalysts that are building for Bitcoin, and they are massive catalysts, guys. And one of them is these ETFs. It's going to get approved because the Bitcoin futures ETF was already approved, and the SEC shot themselves in the foot with that because now they can't backpedal on it, and the court has even said, right, because ARK Invest was basically like, why did you not approve our Bitcoin ETF? You said that you're not protecting investors. However, we're using the same protections that the Bitcoin futures ETF is doing.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you have no foundation. Your argument is like it doesn't make sense, and that's what the judge ruled. So we're getting a Bitcoin spot ETF. It's just when, right, and also who gets there first. But regardless, it's going to be there. And there's people like Harris, there's people like myself that are going to want it in their 401k, which means that these companies are going to have to purchase the Bitcoin to have that to hold in reserve for that ETF, right? Anyways, you got to watch that video.
Did you watch the Gary Gensler videos yesterday?
Some of the no, I have not
He
had the
got
chance.
wrecked in court, like real bad, like real bad. And he said he said Pokemon cards aren't a security. He said Bitcoin isn't a security, and he couldn't answer if tokenized Pokemon cards would be a security, right? So, but it's pretty obvious if the Pokemon card isn't, making it digital shouldn't make it a security
Yeah, like it's so funny because
because technology shouldn't be like
the same financial mechanisms are still there, right? Where it's like, but
exactly.
instead of exchanging hand to hand, now I can do it internationally, over the internet very quickly, right? And he just continues to make a fool of himself. I cannot believe that he just hasn't been like, and maybe he is right. He's looking for his exit because, like, he just keeps getting called out and just he's lost all credibility. And even the board, right? There's so many like people on the board basically saying, I disagree with what you're saying, right? Man, let's see what Brian says. Omi combines the familiar with the unfamiliar.
I
It,
agree.
it is this Web 2.5, and it's so funny because people keep saying Vivi's not Web 3, and I agree with some of it that Vivi initially they basically a lot of their marketing was to the Web 3 people about interoperability, right? Like they touted that very early on. But I like that they are Web 2.5. I do believe that we are going to get interoperability for the people who want it. But they've got to navigate this regulatory space. And we're seeing the companies like Stoner Cats, right, that maybe haven't done that, and the SEC targets them. And it can financially wreck these companies before they get off the ground. And so Vivi's had to be very careful. And now that they're making money, right now they have the attorneys and the funds to potentially be able to fight something like the SEC targeting them. But that's what makes me so bullish on VB and Omi. I only buy tokens that are massive. Yeah. See, and this is the irony, right? Is it's so people need this validation. And tell me if I'm wrong here, Riz, but like it is when you hit that dopamine hit, it's like people like to buy on the way up because they're like, oh, other people are also already buying it, so I'm safe. But you don't know when you've bought it, if you've bought it at the top, right? And then how much are, so if you buy it and it's gone up like 100% and you're like, now I'm buying at it, you're at a much riskier position than the people who bought it while it was boring, right? That doesn't mean that you can't still get gains, but then you're also starting to look and be like, well, it was down here and I want to make as much as those people down there made. So I want to wait till it pumps 200% before I sell. But then maybe it only pumps 150%. And then it drops and you think it'll go back up and it doesn't, right? And there's just this mentality.
I did that during the last bull run.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine. He kept getting in these crazy projects that just kept taking off. Like he got in Cum Rocket and he got in a few other ones that just took off to the moon. And I was, I chased some of the what he got in. He got in there's some really I can't remember it. There's some of those those dodgy projects that were just purely pump and dumps. But he made like some pretty good gains in some of those, and I was chasing a few of them. I was always behind, and so I make some gain, but nowhere near as much as him. And like it was dangerous. I definitely lost some money on some of them as well, trying to chase it.
Yeah.
Don't chase green candles, guys.
No, but a lot of people are not willing to put in the work, and that's okay, right? But if you're not willing to put in the work, you got to find the people who do put in the work that makes sense, right? And then all you're doing, you're not doing what they're doing. You're saying, for my situation, what makes sense for me after learning about this or adding additional education or information and assimilating that and then applying it for your specific situation, right? I'm in a completely different situation than Riz is. Riz is a completely different situation than Rain or any of you guys. So like that's the thing that I want to beat into you guys is honestly just you can listen to this, just educate yourself and then make a decision that makes sense for you, right? And one keeps talking about Fab Wealth. I don't know what Fab Wealth is. One thing, if you're in the Crypto Rain Discord, one of the things that he does hand one is like if you kind of lay out a scenario as like why Fab Wealth makes sense and what problem it's solving or what it does and why it makes sense and why it can actually succeed going forward, then that's something that definitely will take into consideration and Rain will take into consideration looking at and doing additional research on. Um, and this is the thing, right? Everyone wants to get rich and turn into millionaires, and that has happened. But for me, if I can make enough money where I can truly just pay off, like have no debt whatsoever,
Don't pay off your mortgage. No.
no, like that's one of my goals, man. Because I do like being completely free, financially free, and not having that concern. Because whether my health gets wrecked or something happens, right? Like just knowing that my family is taken care of, that they have a place to live, for me, and I get it, right? I get all of that stuff, but that is one of my goals. But even if I was able to turn 3,000 into 50,000, that's phenomenal. I would never get that in the stock market ever. Like, how
Yeah,
long would it
it'd
take?
take 100 years. 100
Yeah,
years, and even then, it might not work. Yeah.
yeah. So shout out to Randy. Man, it's great to see some of these OGs in the house there. And see you're doing a lot better at keeping up in the comments there. Um, there is big institutional money pushing for this ETF, and money money wins in court always. That's funny. Um, yeah, and then when Bumper has these assets that you can truly protect, when they've added additional assets right now, they're just Bitcoin, right? Um, we'll see what happens with Bumper.
Yeah,
Um,
against
I
those
can't
hilarious,
wait.
man.
Look, and he
You gotta
continues to
watch his
get wrecked.
videos.
He's always getting wrecked. Like he just makes himself look so foolish,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I just like
Yesterday's altcoin daily video. You guys have to check it out. It's so funny.
okay, yeah, well, like it's funny, man. Rain is right. Everyone sell their Omi so I can buy those bags.
Omi's hit a really strong base of 000882, basically 83 around there.
I love hearing all these people who are watching that, right, and finding out about the space because regulation, the regulators, it is very important what regulators decide to do in this space for their overall crypto market. It really does, and I know that like Bitcoin overall can't truly be touched by the regulators. I think it will always exist, but for the wider crypto market and people's like mainstream's access to crypto, that is very important for wide mainstream adoption. You're going to have regulations. The technology is also going to have to improve. to where people don't get wrecked. And you know what they've done? Okay, back in the day, and Riz, you can vouch for this, but like if you got a wallet address, you're like, I'm sending funds to, you just copied and pasted, and like you better hope that that's the right address, right? Whereas now on some of these centralized exchanges, you put in a wallet address and you're on Polygon Network, and it'll be like, oh, FYI, like this is like a Binance Smart Chain Network wallet address, right? And it gives you a warning there, whereas it didn't before, and you would send it and it was just gone, right? So they're slowly improving the user experience, and they're going to need to improve more and more and put guardrails on, because let's face it, people in general are idiots and they need a lot of hand holding there. And so for mainstream adoption, there's going to need, that technology is going to need to improve. But man, once it does, and these things like protecting assets, that Bumper does, if they can integrate that and make it simple, right? Wow, the power that could have.
Can you jump to the Brian Clark comment really quickly? Have you been watching what's happening with BitBoy Crypto? Because it's freaking wild, man. It is so wild.
It is.
He's unhinged as. It's hilarious.
Well, so I mean, they've talked about him like I think that he's on drugs, and I think he needs help, and it's sad to see someone's life unravel because of that, right?
It's sad, but he's so entertaining at the same time. It's really like it's hard to like look away.
Yeah.
You just saw the rest video and him like talking to the he was
doing like the cop. Yeah, he's got his hands up and he's like looking at the camera as the cop.
He also did a live stream the next day in a car, and he was just all over the place. It was it's really interesting. And then he tweeted out that he's trying to work it out with his mistress and his wife, and he's trying to keep them both.
Oh man, that's just sad. That's just
he's losing his marbles.
Look, Dan, with VV getting demand going, looking bleak. First and foremost, everything is down overall. The crypto market in general is down. So I'm not worried. They're still making partnerships. They're still making money. And like, I think that a lot of people right now, they're wishing for the good old days, right? When things would pump and things would sell out immediately, or like you'd buy something and it was automatically worth more. I think for certain things, those days will come again. And for other collectibles, I don't think that they'll ever hit their all-time highs again. But VV's still building, and they're still working on things. I talk about the partnership that they have with their memorandum of understanding, right, with Alibaba Cloud, and like the relationships that they can form from that. It's pretty substantial there. But yeah, Bitcoin is losing his marbles. Hey, I just wanted to touch on things. I know that we're definitely already over an hour. Man, see, Riz, it's so easy to talk to you and to talk to the fam. It just
thanks, man. Like, it's really fun. I love your energy. I was saying this before we even started on the stream, but you always bring this like fun, warm energy. So it's really fun to chat to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and you're fun too. It's so fun to see how an entrepreneur's mind works, right? And the way that you think about things. Again, these different perspectives are so helpful because people can hear different points of view. So I want to go over that this Iron Man Funko Pop.
Oh yeah,
collaboration with VV.
I'm excited, man. I have friends that are Funko collectors. So
have you talked to them about this partnership?
No, not yet.
I'd be very interested to see, because like I was looking through the comments, and a lot of people. Overall, I think it's been pretty positive, the comments there. From what I've learned, Funko Pop, they're trying out this new line, this gold line, and this is the first one. They've done 18-inch Funko Pops before, and those are typically around $100. So now you're adding on a $50 premium, right, for the VV code, but there's only 3,000 of them.
Yeah.
And like in general, like Funko Pops, like that is extremely limited. Not only that, because of the chase, there's only it's 600 of each, right? Which makes it even more limited. So I'd be very interested to hear from like massive Funko Pop collectors. If number one, they want it, they don't care about the VV thing, but they want it because it's so limited. And because it's this new line, I'm fascinated, but I am definitely going to try for it. I've got to try to research tips and tricks on how to get like be fast online, or how their drops work, or anything like that?
You can't buy in Australia, can you? I think it's US
No,
only.
it's US only. It is US only. So, but
I can
maybe
use a VPN. I
I
can
was
use a
gonna say,
VPN.
maybe if you use a VPN.
And there's websites where you can ship stuff to a US address and then they forward it to you.
Oh,
That's
that's fascinating.
actually how I got this model car, because you could only buy it in US. It's a Tesla. It's from Tesla directly, but
Oh
I
wow.
couldn't buy it, so I had to like use a VPN and send it to a US address and make up like a fake US. Yeah, I got all that stuff going. And it cost me $800 to get this car here.
Oh my gosh, man,
No,
that
but
is
what's
wild.
crazy is Tesla stock was $200 per Tesla stock, and this is before any splits. So that would be like, I don't know, that car's worth like 20 grand now if I put in Tesla stock instead.
Oh man, that's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, well, like to finish this out here, I'd love to hear your thoughts, Jordan, especially as someone who mostly is into Omi, right? But like, what are your thoughts on the VV verse, right? And what that means for Omi and for VV.
Yeah, I really, really like VR. I'm a big VR guy. Got my got my Quest 2 here. I can't wait to get the Quest 3, Quest 3 is coming out next month, and I think the VVverse is going to look amazing in proper VR. I know that a lot of people will just be using it on like their phone or their laptop or their computer. It'll be fun, but it won't be quite the same experience. It'll be more like playing GTA, where on a flat screen. But the Vverse in VR, virtual reality, which is sort of where you want to play it, or maybe if they let you do AR, I don't know if you can do AR mode in Vverse, but it's going to be really, really good. I've seen screenshots of how high quality some of the collectibles look. It looks insane,
Yeah,
but I can imagine that it will still have to be scaled down for most people's computers. I know they talked about a cloud processing system at some point. So you basically, I don't know how it works exactly, but you just get like a graphic interface and everything is processed on the cloud and they send it back to you. So you have to have very fast internet for that. But then you don't need a fast computer or mobile or anything. And
hmm.
you'll be able to have that high quality. So yeah, my thoughts are that it's going to be a game changer. I've spent lots of time in VR before. No, it wasn't leaks. They posted it on Twitter. It was just a picture of one character. In someone did it on Twitter of a Mickey Mouse or something like that. Have you seen it in the Vverse? It was really, really high resolution.
Well, so my understanding is it's the company that made those assets for VV, but then they just showed like what it looks like when it's not on your cell phone, basically,
Okay, so
right?
that's not
Like,
from the Vverse then. Yeah, but that's
yeah,
what basically
but
what they're
that's what
getting
they'll
at.
look like
Yeah,
potentially in the VV verse, right?
yeah, extremely high resolution. Yeah, I'm a big VR guy. I really like it. It's only getting better. Like Apple Vision Pro looks amazing. Have you seen? Did you see the Meta Connect from yesterday? The Meta
I
Connect
did,
event?
yeah.
Did you see the Ray Bans?
Yeah, the Ray Bans. Yeah,
They
what
look
do you think of
amazing. They're
those?
so cool. The
You
Ray
think
Bans are
so?
really.
Okay.
I think they look really good. And there's a new one as well called the Visor. The Visor looks
Mm.
cool too. Might be a rug pull, not sure, but the Visor looks cool as well. It's another AR headset. So all these things are coming that will be able to eventually use the VV app or maybe even the VV Verse, and you'll be able to look at your collectibles in augmented reality with glasses on or with a headset on or whatever it is, so that you don't need to use your phone necessarily anymore. And that's going to be a game changer. Is that you can actually just walk around your house and interact with these toys, right? These collectibles, whatever you want to call them. And you can drive, like the remote control cars will be great. You can drive around, your Kit or your DeLorean or whatever it is. Um, and yeah, in the Vverse, I can definitely see us spending time there talking. There'll be a lot of content. How many content creators do we have? We have a ton of them in VV and Omi. We've
Oh
got
yeah,
like
you got
we've
a
got
lot.
several hundred.
Yeah, probably.
And
Yeah, probably a
And,
hundred.
and if you can imagine them all being in the Vverse sooner or later, and all the crowd they'll draw into the Vverse, we can easily have 1,000 people in the Vverse at any one time. I think would easily possible, especially during the bull market, easily. And so in the bear market, yeah, maybe there'll only be a couple hundred people in the Vverse. I don't know. It depends on the users, and if the users keep growing, and like the bull market, what it's not like it doubles. It's like a 10x, 20x, right, on users. It was crazy last bull market on VV. I'm sure you remember that, where the prices just keep going through the roof. Like it's probably going to happen again.
So I'm with you. Like with the VV verse, they have to get the social dynamic right. And I think that they already like they have a great head start because of the community. That there's going to already be a lot of people who are going to want to go into the VVverse, and they're going to want to meet up with their friends in the VVverse and see their showrooms and things. And you need staying power. You need people to want to stay in that, right? How many millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars has Sandbox and Decentraland spent combined, right, for their metaverses where they're almost like ghost towns, except for every now and again. And that's a risk. That's a risk for VV if they don't get that right. But with such a strong community, I'm looking forward to getting into it. And if I can look at my collectibles and they look that good, as they look as that good as that Mickey does, I absolutely want to get in there. I absolutely want to drive my DeLorean in there. And so I've got high hopes for it, but it's something that is still a risk. But when you combine that with like the AR and the VR tech that's improving and is really getting pushed, I think that gets VV and the VVverse into a potential bull run narrative, along with like the gaming narrative, right? And so we'll see how they build it out. I feel like there was some sort of hiccups or something like that with the company that they're working with.
Have you seen Ready Player One, the movie?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that happening. They've got a lot of new devices that let you have like pressure on your hands so you can grab devices.
Oh
which
my
is wild.
gosh, that is wild. Like
they've got like feedback. You can put these packs on. They got feedback, so it's like someone can like stroke you and you can feel it. So it's, there's all these different. Hey! Don't get the wrong idea.
Well, yeah. What are they going to use that for, Jordan? What's going on here? What are you talking about?
Well, they already used it in one of those online worlds. Not alt world. I don't know. One of the online worlds. They've already might be Horizons. You can already use some of those devices that they've allowed you to plug in it. And so if you go near somebody and you put your hand there, they can like feel you touching them. They should give someone a hug, basically. We'll just say that. Pause.
Pause. Yeah. Hey, so I want to shout out O'Milly Tees here. So if you can look in the background here. Well,
yeah, nice.
Right.
This is VV on it.
This is it says VV on it, and it's got Dan and David's and Reese's and Alex's signatures on it. That's an O'Milly tee. I loved it that we did for Decon. He did this awesome Silicon Secure shirt that he did, and he holds spaces all the time. So if you don't know O'Milly tees, search him out on Twitter. He is phenomenal. He hosts VV Spaces. He's a lot of fun. He's a funny guy, and I just really enjoy him. So shout out to O'Milly tees.
Does he have Omi t-shirts?
Yeah, like he had made one in the past that was like O'Millionaire. I have a couple of those, and like
the whale one.
The whale one. Yeah,
I got that then. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yes, but I just want to round this out. And so Jordan, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. It's fun. It's fun to hear your backstory and get the mindset of that you were in purchasing so much and remortgaging your home twice for Omi. But I definitely have high hopes for Omi. But look, crypto is a highly volatile space. It could all go to zero. Nothing we said here was financial advice, but definitely appreciate you guys all joining in. And if you haven't already, again, let's smash, push, crush, or gently caress that like button, the subscribe button, all notification button. Please follow Jordan on all the socials, right? On Twitter, he has a YouTube. A lot of fun. He puts out some fun little videos sometimes where you dress up as those different characters. I really enjoy those, actually. Your Arnold one is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I need to do that more, right? I should do some more.
Yeah. But thanks, fam, for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Stuff. Yeah, really, really fun. Yeah, really appreciate it.